Black Africans and Black Caribbeans and Black Americans are different. Black Africans and Black Caribbeans are closer, almost identical. They have high, and I'm generalizing now, but generalization is pretty accurate. They have high self-esteem and lower levels of confidence. Black Americans have higher levels of confidence and lower levels of self-esteem. Because of slavery lasted here longer, it was turned into a business, and it was an intentional desire to destroy your spirit, because if they had this black man here, coming here with all that build and all that brawn from, by the way, they say they went to Africa, oh, we're dumb, we're stupid. Knock that off. 1500s was an agricultural age. The wealthiest gold in America, in the world, were cotton crops and sugar crops and tobacco crops, which are in areas which were very humid, very hot, and the soil was almost dead. Who could master dead soil? Africans. So they went halfway around the world to find the geniuses of the soil. They brought us halfway around the world because we could build wealth for them and income. But they didn't need this brother's attitude. They needed his body. So they separated from his family, so he had no hope. They abused his wife and held him down so he couldn't protect her until he gave up his self-esteem.
It seems we have been talking a lot about the reason people of Black origin are not progressing. It's about time we also find content that will help us progress and also empower us to do more to progress. I've come across a video from Mr. John Hope Bryant, which will interest you. I want us to watch this particular video. I will be back.
Well, hey, black folks, there are crises every Tuesday. We've been doing so much with so little for so long, we'd almost do anything with nothing. And so my mother passed away with $1 million net worth. She had worked 32 years at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. She made $15 to $18 an hour. She was divorced from my father, who left her with nothing. She bought and sold 7 homes. She had a health insurance policy. She had a life insurance policy. She had a term life insurance policy and a whole life policy. She had a will with a poison pill in it. Anybody who protests this will is excluded from it. She was gangster. I asked my mother when she was divorced, I said, Mom, you gonna get married again? She said, yeah, baby. When I get married, it's gonna be a BMW. I said, Mom, don't be so vain. I asked you a real question. She said, no, it's a real answer. A black man working. So, Mom's credit score, you'll get that later. My mom's credit score was 854. So she wasn't black, she was green. When she passed, her credit score was 740 something because she wasn't using credit anymore. But my point is, when she passed away with $1 million net worth, given the story I just told you from East St. Louis, she was incredibly wealthy. She didn't want for anything. She didn't need anything. Her car was paid off. She had a Mercedes. It wasn't Mercedes payments because it was completely, I'm giving you good stuff. It's going right over your heads. Mercedes payments. That's what it says. See, you ain't laughing because a lot of y'all got that. So I think, first of all, rich is a contract. Let me answer your question. Rich is a contract. That's different from wealth. You make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep. Wealth is stocks, bonds, home ownership, business ownership, brand ownership. Education is a form of wealth. I was talking to a guy from your conference. He was complaining about his student loans. And I said, why are you complaining? That is an asset in you because that allowed you to take your earning power from 6 figures to 7 figures. Without the education, you'd be making in your lifetime a few $100,000. He didn't see it that way. So you build wealth in your sleep. So and this is where we get in trouble. If you have a contract, you could be $30,000 working with the city. Contract of $300,000 with a contract with the city. You could have a contract for $3 million or $30 million with the NBA or the NFL. But when your outflow exceeds your inflow, then your overhead will be your downfall. So if you have that contract and the income stops, but your expenses continue, and you've created a lifestyle that is equivalent to your income, which is what everybody does, you will be broke. You'll be broke at 30,000, you'll be broke at 300,000, you'll be broke at 3 million, and we've seen you can be broke at 30 million. So rich, first of all, we need to define rich as just a ability to earn an income. But you've got to translate that into wealth creation. And I think everybody has the capacity to be a millionaire within 5 years. But if you're a person of color, you're spending less, you're hustling harder, you've got a better sense of surviving skills, which means you don't spend as much, waste as much as somebody else might, who might need 2.5 million or more in order to feel comfortable. That was a long answer to your question, but basically I said if you're black, you're lucky.
All right. So let me ask you this. My dad always told me, he said, son, the key to having money is spend less than you make. And he would always say, stay away from credit cards, stay away from debt. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. As you said with your mother had the 840 credit score, and I hear a lot of videos, and Operation Hope, I know a big part of it is restoring credit. So reconcile kind of my dad's perspective, just managing your money, don't have credit, with what you guys teach. And I will say, I don't think my dad was quite a millionaire, but he certainly left us debt-free, 2 houses paid off, gave me and my sister a car, and left us with about $70,000 in the bank. So he did all right growing up in Louisiana, you know, driving tractors, picking cotton. But reconcile what my dad taught me versus what you guys teach.
First of all, your dad was wealthy because I met you. I met you yesterday in person, and I can see in your eyes your dad's soul. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Energy matters. So your dad was promoted in his sense of his life activity, and he transferred the most important thing, which were values, to you. And because of his life experience, he was scarred by certain things that made him more conservative. Black people tend to be very conservative when you get the traditional black experience. I think what your dad was talking about was bad debt. So there's good debt and there's bad debt. There's good capitalism and there's bad capitalism. Bad capitalism is where I benefit and you pay a price for it. Slavery was bad capitalism. Good capitalism is where I benefit and you benefit more. This conference is good capitalism. Bad debt are things that tie to things that depreciate. Financing jewelry. Financing clothes at a department store. They give you that shiny credit card. You didn't look on the back or look at the details. That's 28 to 35% interest rate. Financing most automobiles actually is bad debt. Depending on, unless it's taking you to a job, and that is its primary purpose. Good debt is tied to something that appreciates. But let me be very blunt. This is, Malcolm X, I'm gonna say this a couple times today, so I'm gonna say it once because it's gonna apply to a lot of stuff. Malcolm X, Dr. King had a lot in common, actually, certainly towards the end of Dr. King's life. One of the things that Malcolm X said that I love is we've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled, we've been hoodwinked, we've been run amok. What do I mean by that? No centimillionaire, no billionaire, no growing city like Houston, no country like America ever became a huge, successful economy without good debt. I'm gonna say it again. Nobody that you admire has gotten there without good debt. Good debt. Debt is as old as humanity itself. And it was we don't have time for this, but actually capitalism and free enterprise and trade was created by black people, Jews, and those in the Middle East 6,000 years ago. It's just we forgot our own memo. Jews then went off and mastered finance because they couldn't own land in Europe. And so that's why they're so good at financial literacy, even though they're discriminated against. We decided to master culture versus capitalism, culture versus commerce. So where the rules are published and the playing field is level, we kill it. Think about it. The arts, professional sports. By the way, I got low self-esteem. I need to know that you out here. Yes or no? The arts, professional sports, faith, politics. These areas, we've killed it because the rules are published and the playing field is level. No one ever taught us a game of capitalism. So it's not like we got the memo and screwed it up. We just never got the memo. And part of this memo is using good debt. That means using it conservatively, using it appropriately, but using it. I mean, I got these rap stars that call me their mentor, my brother T.I., my brother Killer Mike, a lot of these brothers, they're just paying for things for cash. Like, yo, man, I mean, they're paying for a building for cash, $2 million, $3 million. Man, I love you. I love the ability that you can hustle like that, and you can floss like that, you can lay it down like that, but that is not a good use of money. Like, so we got to refinance that out, get you some cash out, get you a modest mortgage on that thing, take the rest of that cash, and you do something else with it. Put it in the bank if you like, put it in the stock market. But good debt is an incredible vehicle for wealth creation. The most gangster business on the planet is banking. That's why they wear this nice little conservative suit and a little buttoned up tie, and they walk around. He's gangsta. For every dollar a bank owner puts in the capital account, for every dollar you see in a bank, 6%, Jerome, is owned by the owner, the shareholder. The rest, 94%, is you and me. So we put in 94 cents, they put in 6 cents, they lend out the dollar. This is gangster. They get the whole return on the dollar as long as you pay your loan back. So somebody will say, John Bryant, he's talking about debt. Now he's gonna talk about home ownership. I should buy a home. Yeah, if I own the home, I don't own the home. The bank owns the home. If you don't pay, let me tell you something. The color is green, not black or white, not red or blue. If I loan you money to buy a house with the best of intentions, and you don't pay me back, I'm gonna own your home. So we've got to take the emotions out of this. We got to upgrade our software and just master this capitalism game like we've mastered every other game.
All right. So you were once a CEO driving a Honda, buying cash cars, living conservatively. I would imagine you're still living conservatively. So I want to know what—
I live under my means.
Living under your means. Tell me what lessons you learned that you're still using today from those days starting out.
Oh, I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid about cash. I think I'm gonna go broke every day. I was homeless. I don't know if you guys know my story. We probably don't have time for this, but you can research it offline. But I've been pretty transparent about it. You know, my mom and dad divorced over money when I was 5 years old. They domestic abuse. My mother, it's California, community property state. She could have taken them for everything. We owned a gas station, an apartment building, an 18-unit apartment building we bought for $18,000, is now worth millions. We owned our own home. We owned a business. Anyway, my dad lost it all. And my mother left with nothing. We lived with her girlfriend to save money for her first house. And I saw 2 murders before I was 9 years old, and got a financial literacy when I was 9, class. But then I was homeless when I was 18 and lost it all. And my credit score was like 400. I didn't even know it went that low. I was at Lottie here at the airport. Anybody knows Los Angeles? There's a caddy corner right near the airport, Lottie and Airport. It's an Italian restaurant on the corner. I lived in the parking lot. And I used to live and I'd take the car cover and put it over the Montero Jeep at night, so the license plate was covered, so that the tow truck looking for the Montero couldn't identify it when I was asleep. So this is real for me. And so yeah, I mean, the story is more involved, but I'm still paranoid to this day about going broke. I mean, I closed a deal for $1 million sitting in your back, in your green room, literally a deal closed for $1 million for a house that I was selling. But I'm still paranoid about never running out of cash. I got lines of credit everywhere. I got cash everywhere. I want to know what I appraise everything all the time. But that paranoia is part of my success. That insecurity, you got to make your insecurities work for you. I mean, the biggest economy in the world is the United States of America. The most insecure place in the world is the United States of America. The country is incredibly vain. I mean, we're constantly trying as a country to prove, because we're only a few hundred years old, we're constantly trying to flex. We don't have royalty like the UK does, which is where we got our freedom from. Well, some people got their freedom from. Are you guys slow? Is this landing flat, or is we on a different planet? You know, black people, we got on the wrong boat. You realize that, right? Anyway, we're gonna be family before this is over. But anyway, our European friends have royalty. Well, we created celebrity in America as our own form of royalty. No one else in the world had celebrity. America created celebrity and exported it around the world as a response to our insecurity of not having royalty like royalty. Business owners in America are royalty, as an example. I mean, that is as the journeyman class. So our insecurities, the houses are bigger in America, the music is louder, we are louder, we wear our assets on our, this is being recorded somewhere. But it's that vanity and that insecurity that also drives us to get up earlier, save later, work harder, which is why, by the way, black people should be incredibly, incredibly, incredibly successful going forward. Hope we get to that in the future. Where we're in the business plan for America relies on black America to continue to be successful. I'm getting ahead of your question. So, just generally speaking, I want to make sure I never go broke ever again. And it's just mathematically impossible, actually, that I would, but fears aren't rational. And I tell people all the time, never make an emotional decision, ever. Whenever you make an emotional decision, it's gonna be a bad one. So think 3 times, act once. But I do acknowledge everything about me. I'm not as good as my compliments. I'm not as bad as my criticisms. I'm God's child, I am who I am. And I take these things that are insecurities in me and I use them as coal to feed the fire of my ambitions and my projects. If you want me to answer a question more specifically, I will. By the way, you said I live conservatively. I don't live conservatively. I live under my means. That may be conservative to some. But I mean, I have a car collection. I don't need those cars, but I also don't have to think about it. If I have to think about it, I don't need it. If I got to think about what a payment is, I don't need it. If I have to think about what something's going to cost, I'm not going to do it. So I do live my dream. We have a beach house in Turks and Caicos. I bought it for $2 million 2.5 years ago. The appraisal on it says it's now worth $3.8 million. We don't even go there, it's rented out when we're not there because I'm a capitalist. So it's making money even when we're not there. When we go there, we go for free. I use Amex points to fly there. I use Hertz points to rent the rental car when I get there. I use the proceeds from the rent when I go there next month with my wife. I use the money in the account in there to buy a previously owned SUV in Turks and Caicos to keep there, so it doesn't cost me anything. Oh, I'm a straight up capitalist. But if your outflow exceeds your inflow, then your overhead will be your downfall. So I just make sure I live under my means, which still allows me to live a good life.
Yeah. All right.
All money is freedom.
Yeah.
That's all it is. All money is freedom.
So what do you think is the root of the insecurity, as you said, of America that makes us want to flex and floss? And you said America, it wasn't African American. So
I'd much rather get to African Americans and why we're insecure, but I can deal with your. I mean, I sort of
deal with both of them.
Do you guys want to hear this? So because this to me this really is everything, Jerome. I've already dealt with America, sort of, vis-a-vis the world. I mean, the world is 5 billion years old. Organism life, 4 billion years old. Neanderthal life, 200 million years old. Modern human life, 200,000 years old. Jesus, 3,000 years. You got BC and before Christ and after, it's 6,000, 3,000 years. So humans, as we relate to it, 3,000 years old. America lasts 400 plus years. So America is a pretty new situation, and we're insecure because we're new and we're trying to prove ourselves and we're good enough, and so we overdo everything. And actually, that plus freedom and democracy, democracy and capitalism are horrible systems except for every other system. I mean, China and Russia want to be us. They're communist countries with a capitalism overlay, and they're cheating at capitalism. This is the only way they can beat us. And by the way, that's part of why black people are going to succeed, is that this country literally can't succeed for the next 20 years without black people succeeding. But the first thing we got to do in order to get to that demographic and mathematical, I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. But the reason, before we get to that, let me answer the core question, because we got to get it out of our own way first. It used to be the white man or racism, whatever was our problem. Now we're our problem. Only she got it. Let me break this down. Thomas was on the stage, by the way, brilliant, amazing, and is a future model. What he did by acquiring an accounting firm in Atlanta, I'm hoping to get to that. That's part of a business model for, I think, how we're going to grow. Because 30% of all nonprofits are going to have to merge in the next couple of years. You're going to have, so me back to your answer. Black Africans and Black Caribbeans and Black Americans are different. Black Africans and Black Caribbeans are closer, almost identical. They have high, and I'm generalizing now, but generalization is pretty accurate. They have high self-esteem and lower levels of confidence. Black Americans have higher levels of confidence and lower levels of self-esteem. Because of slavery lasted here longer, it was turned into a business, and it was an intentional desire to destroy your spirit, because if they had this black man here, coming here with all that building, all that brawn from, by the way, they say they went to Africa, oh, we're dumb, we're stupid. Knock that off. 1500s was an agricultural age. The wealthiest gold in America, in the world, were cotton crops and sugar crops and tobacco crops, which are in areas which were very humid, very hot, and the soil was almost dead. Who could master dead soil? Africans. So they went halfway around the world to find the geniuses of the soil. They brought us halfway around the world because we could build wealth for them and income. But they didn't need this brother's attitude. They needed his body. So they separated from his family, so he had no hope. They abused his wife and held him down so he couldn't protect her, until he gave up his self-esteem. And now he's just machinery. So now, 400 years later, we never healed. So if I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you. If I don't respect me, don't expect me to respect you. If I don't love me, I don't have a clue how to love you. And here's the big one. If I don't have a purpose in my life, I'm going to make your life a living hell. Whatever goes around, comes around. So we have high confidence, Jerome, because we've competed and succeeded against all odds in the biggest economy on the planet. So we have high confidence because we're competent, but we have low self-esteem, which is why you have crab in the barrel. It's why somebody's sitting there going, what is he talking about? My life? Why would anybody have anything with something positive to say right now? So if you got a problem with me, you need to check yourself. I don't even know you. So, as Quincy Jones once said, not 1 ounce of my self-esteem depends on your acceptance of me. So it's okay if you don't like me, I like me. Now, Black African, y'all, come on now, we having church in here. Now, Black Africans and Caribbeans experience slavery lower for a shorter period of time, and they experience family structure and role modeling for a long period of time. The mayor was black. The governor was black. The premier was black. The dentist was black. The barber was black. The thief was black. Everybody was black. Together families. So they have higher self-esteem, but they have lower confidence because they didn't succeed in a market economy. It makes perfect sense. So when you come, that's why when black Africans or Caribbeans come here, within 2 or 3 years, they're killing it. Yet the Ethiopians in Washington, D.C., they're at the Park Hyatt parking the cars. Within a couple of days, they've hired the buddies to be valets. Within a few weeks, they're also the taxi drivers. Within a couple months, they put the money in for an Uber car. Now they got a black car. Now they got 3 black cars. Now they live together. Now they have their entire staff at the front of the lobby. They have the valets. They got the taxi. They got the Ubers. They're willing to rent you an apartment if you want one. I mean, but that's because the hustle was the only ingredient that they missed. The opportunity. Black people, black Americans are the role models for the world. But we've got a little bit confused because we think that's enough. We're also depressed. I think that 70% of black Americans clinically undiagnosed depressed. And I can't prove that number. I love numbers. I can't prove that one. Whenever I talk to somebody, our people in a real conversation, can I get an amen? So when we're having a real conversation, we just have to heal so we can deal. Now, if we can heal, which is real wealth, and heal ourselves and love ourselves, now we can have a relationship. Now, in a relationship, it's the only time where it should be multiplication and not math. So if a relationship, if 2 + 2 does not equal 6, 8, or 10, what are you doing? If you're not better together, what are you doing? When you go to the club tonight, what's tonight? Tonight's Saturday. When you go to the club tonight, what's tonight? Friday. Entrepreneurs, we work 18 hours, they keep getting a job. We can work 18 hours and 6, and we have a nap for 3 hours, for 6 hours, that's it. So yeah, I don't know what day it is. You go to the club tonight? Oh man, she's fine. Oh, he's so handsome. What's your name? Oh, what's your credit score? And I'm only partially joking. After the looks fall away and the body falls away, that's your business partner for life. 2 + 2 should equal 6, 8, or 10. If you're not better together, what are you doing? So this thing we're talking about is about self-esteem is the entire ball game. If we can't fix this, we're done. No one else can hurt us, we'll hurt us. If we can fix this, I believe we will and we are. No one can stop us. 40% of America is black and brown today. Within 10 years, it'll be a majority of minorities. The economy is $29 trillion, the biggest economy in the world. Most of the wealth is here, by the way, in the United States of America. The economy is 70% consumer spending, 70%. 70% of Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck, by the way, everybody. But the economy is consumer spending, not wealthy people, not the government, you and me. If we're 40% now heading to 50%, and you have more people under 18 than over 65. And you have the largest group of Americans who are baby boomers today who are 65 years old, which means wealthy, rich, white, trying to go play golf all at the same time. So they're leaving the stage, Jerome, in 10 years, all together. Are you with me so far? That's $150 trillion of wealth, $50 trillion created in the last 25 years. You're gonna have $100 trillion wealth transfer in the next 10 to 20 years. $15 trillion of that is business assets. The people who own these assets, they're going to give the inheritance, the cars, the houses, the stocks, the bonds, the cash to their husbands, their wives, their children. The family don't want the businesses. They're like, we good. That's too much work. These are successful businesses with brands. They have assets, cash flows, customer lists. Thomas, when I'm talking about you, they're perfectly fine. Nobody wants them. $15 trillion worth of that and all you have to do is go buy it. And let me tell you what, it is easier. If you didn't listen to anything I had to say, listen to this. It is easier to go to Wall Street and to get Wall Street to finance a $10 million acquisition of a profitable business with a cash flow, a customer list, and assets and real estate already there. It is easier to get that done than to start a pizzeria with a $50,000 GoFundMe campaign or a mortgage that you got to personally guarantee. It's called non-recourse debt. Private equity will finance that on its cash flow and assets alone. You're just a placeholder. The owner is a placeholder. Am I losing you? That's $1 trillion of potential asset transfer for us in the next 10 years. The color's not black or white, it's not red or blue. I over-answered your question.
Now that was good.
I'll keep the rest. I saw my brother looking at his watch. Right? Y'all ain't got to kick me out. I'm gonna leave. You never want to be the old guy at the club. So before y'all kick me out, I'm gonna leave. But there's a couple things before we wrap up. I do want to make sure I leave with you, but I'm gonna make my answers much shorter.
Okay. So next question. Now, not a lot of people know, but you had a hand in kind of shaping AI. You sat down with Sam Altman. You talked about AI and how our community is represented in it. So talk a little bit about that conversation and how AI is the role of AI in the future in wealth transfer and creation, our society. Talk a little bit about that conversation.
Nothing much scares me. That was the scariest conversation of my life. I wish we had more time. I'd unpack the how. We don't have time for it, but I went to go meet Sam. He's a nice guy. I think he's a Steve Jobs of this generation. And he showed me a prototype of what ChatGPT was going to be. I had no idea what I was looking at. He showed me his laptop. And he asked me, John, what's your opinion about tech leaders in Silicon Valley? And he said, we know all the same people. I won't name names, but the biggest names. And I said, well, most of them are technical geniuses with a blind spot called people. And he said, I love the honesty of your answer. I need another honest answer. What am I missing as I'm launching ChatGPT? I said, well, the internet didn't ask for underserved communities' opinion. The Industrial Revolution didn't ask for it. The automobile revolution didn't ask for it. The horse and buggy revolution didn't ask for it. You, with AI, should ask for the opinion and the engagement of what will soon be half of the population who are going to drive the American economy. Go talk to them, and most importantly, listen to them, because God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you listen twice as much as you talk. And he said, okay, help me. Fine. So a few weeks passed. His office had called and said, Sam really wants to do this thing, Black and Brown America, these tours you're talking about, but he's in Europe right now. He won't have time. I said, no, he will have time. So I hung up from them and I called, but nobody washes rental cars, by the way. Middle managers are cool, but their job is to say no. A middle manager's job is to say no. Why? Because you don't get fired for saying no, you get fired for saying yes to the wrong thing, so the answer is no. So I then called the guy whose job it is to say yes. I called Sam Altman. And I said, Sam, you got to do this. He said, I hear you. They called me back and said, look, the White House just called. I got to be in the White House in 3 days. I'd like to come to your house after that, come to Atlanta. Can you do it? This was 2 a.m. I said, the answer is yes. Hung up, called George French, president of Clark Atlanta, woke him up. Hey, man, I need you to help me host this meeting 3 days. We had the King family, the Young family, all the heroes and sheroes in Atlanta, at Clark Atlanta. And he laid this thing out. And Jerome basically said, within 10 years, we'll probably solve cancer. That's the good news. The bad news is there's going to be unintended consequences. And I have no idea what they are. And they're probably going to be very bad. I just can't tell you what they are. His honesty on the second answer made him my brother. Because it was just transparency, it was truth. Like, he doesn't know what this is like where the horse and buggy was from 1850 to 1910, and we went to the automobile. And things shifted like this. This is gonna go from between 2025 in 2030, your whole world's going to change. Very much like, so what happened in 50 years is going to happen in 5. And I don't know if you remember, no, you remember it, sorry. History books will show you that in 1850 to 1910, it was all about the horse. And 1 out of 10 jobs were furriers, people who did horseshoes. By 1910, a horse was glue. Just real talk. And you had 100 automobile manufacturers created in between 1900 and 1910. Most of them failed, very much like AI is going on right now. A few of them survived, like Henry Ford, Ford Motor Company, who paid his workers enough to buy the automobile they were making, ethics. And by the way, Motown got their idea for Motown from the Ford auto plant manufacturing facility, manufacturing line. We are at this inflection point again now, where literally, if you have a high school education and no hustle, you're done. You don't believe me. You go to CVS, go to Walgreens, go to your grocery store. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it was a tester panel, and you had 8 checkout counters. Now go to that same grocery store today. It's 1 person checking you out and 8 self-checkouts. That's automation, that's AI. Go to the airport. You went to your favorite fast food restaurant. It used to be 12 people behind the counter. Somebody would add, what you want? My food. And not your attitude. Well, I got a break coming up. Yeah, you on your break right now. You retired on the job. Now you got 2, 3 people in the back doing quality control, and everybody's check is pushing. This is happening really subtle. It's right in front of you. Like you put a frog in burning water, they jump out. Put a frog in some water and just slowly heat it up. So everything has changed. But versus seeing this as a threat, we should see it as an opportunity. That's really what I'm getting around to. And so I'm co-chair of the AI Ethics Council with Sam Altman. I've gotten a bunch of HBCUs on the board with that. Bernice King and Andrew Young, who's 93, is on the board. I love this dude. I mean, that is the Nelson Mandela of our time. And we have this AI LP3 council we put together with all the school districts in Atlanta, from kindergarten all the way up to college, to reimagine the future of jobs with artificial intelligence, reimagine the future of economies. Literally everything around you is going to change. It's going to be AI and speakers, AI and furniture, AI and manufacturing of suits, AI and jewelry, AI and creative. Literally, just pick what you're passionate about and become an expert in that with AI attached to it, and you've got a future that creates jobs and opportunities versus destroys it. So somebody's saying, well, John, isn't this the end of everything? No, calculators weren't the end of math. What calculator did was free you up from spending all that time. So now you had more time to then have highest and best use for your brain. So the internet didn't make you dumb. Well, some of us. Some people use smartphones for dumb stuff. But you have this is a computer. This is a computer in your pocket. I mean, nobody should be complaining about anything. You have ChatGPT. You have the smartest assistant on the planet in your pocket. I do these op-eds, and luckily I'm a public figure. I was trying to do this op-ed. It took me 3 weeks. My staff wasn't available. It was Sunday. I'm at church. I'm going to this. Okay, cool. I respect. How you gonna argue with church? You're at church. Okay. So I call Bishop T.D. Jakes. You know, man, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm trying to get this dang on op-ed done. He said, John, you're just not very bright. We're boys. You're not very bright. What? And that's midnight. He said, John, I'm going to tell you what you told me. ChatGPT. He said, you're a public figure. It knows who you are. Just simply say, this is John Hope Bryant. I need to do an op-ed or 800 words on this topic in my voice. And here are the framework. And I hit that 3 seconds. And I read it. It was tripping. It was like, this is me. I said, this is plagiarism. No, it's me talking about me. It freaked me out. It freaked me out. I'm telling you, like, and if I was really a bad employer, I'd have fired like 20 people on Monday.
Yeah.
But so right now, chat is about reducing costs. I'm sorry, AI is about reducing costs. They have not yet figured out how to make money. But here's the good news: 99% of black people don't know a thing about AI. But to quote my brother Van Jones, 99% of white people don't know a thing about AI. Like, this is equal opportunity discrimination. Like this is rock, paper, scissors for everybody, like all at the same time, right? So people are like, oh, I've got a safe job. I'm an accountant. No, you're done, right? I got a safe job. I'm an attorney. No, you done too, right? Like everything's gonna get reimagined. You can see I'm really excited about this topic.
Yeah.
Before we run out of time, I gotta talk about the business plan for America and a couple of things. But this AI thing, we can spend a whole hour just on artificial intelligence. There are two things you and your family have got to obsess about. If your day's not about God or love, your day's about money. You heard me say that. Financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. What the civil rights leaders did in the streets, you all as business leaders are going to do in the suites. I call it civil rights. So financial literacy is a civil rights issue of this generation. AI literacy is the civil rights issue of this generation. You need AI literacy and financial literacy and God. And hustle. And you will dominate what comes next. I set up my answers are going to be shorter. Go ahead.
So I got one more question, and I'll let you talk about the project you were talking about. So in your book, you said something that stuck out. You said, out of love, we pass down habits from one generation to the next. Now that I have you here, I want you to break that down and concisely tell me what that means.
No, you're being too nice. Jerome, I did not say that.
Okay.
I said straight up, out of love, we pass down bad habits from generation to generation. No matter how much I love you, my son or my daughter, if I don't have wisdom, all I can give you is my own ignorance. You want to have a real conversation? Because if you hang around 9 broke people, you will be the 10th. This is why I say you got to take emotions out of it. Capitalism is a gladiator sport. Business is not personal. It's just business. Business is 2 people sitting at this table. There's a table between us. You're the producer, I'm the consumer. Your job is to extract as much money from me as you can while giving me the least value. That's your job. My job is to give you the least money while getting the most value. That's my job. Every good negotiation is where both people leave the table slightly irritated. Because nobody got everything that they wanted. That's life. Love is work, non-love is laziness, anti-love is evil. Evil exists, but it's very rare. Most people are just lazy, intellectually lazy, spiritually lazy, physically lazy, financially lazy. They want everything, they don't want to do the work. Only in the dictionary does the word success come before the word work because it's alphabetical. Get your rear end up and go to work. I love you, but if you're going to do the crime, you're going to do the time. I love you. If you're going to have these kids, you are going to take care of them. You are not a baby daddy, you are a father. You're not a baby mama, you are a mother. Get up and go to work. I'm tired of this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's nothing wrong with us. But we got to get out of our own way. No matter how much I love you, my son or my daughter, if I don't have wisdom, all I can give you is my own ignorance. With the best of intentions, I can only give you what I got. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. It's what you don't know that you don't know, but you think you know. I mean, people be arguing with me on Instagram. If you see comments, it's me. People are like, you didn't check your direct message. This is a direct message. I'm commenting right here. People are like, hey, look, people bring me in everywhere. I want to meet with you. You meeting with me right now? Like what? Anyway, you guys are a hard audience. I'm giving you good stuff. So, so, it's commenting on, trying to tell me about capitalism. I'm like, which one of us is broke? Because, I don't need any of this. I'm good. I'm trying to help you. I presume you're on my page because you like what you're hearing and you want to learn. Why are you arguing? To argue with a fool proves there are two. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. So I was on, I do my own Hope Global Forum. I want you to come, the biggest meeting for the empowerment of the poor in the world. And it was me and T.I. and Killer Mike, billionaire Tony Ressler's he's worth $15 billion. Bishop T.D. Jakes is in the audience, Ambassador Young's in the audience. And T.I., we were buddies, he wants to start arguing with me about money, about banking. I don't like this. You can watch this clip online. I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like banking. I don't like, T.I., stop it. What? Look, I went to the studio with you, and you broke down publishing rights and licensing rights and this industry and that industry, and all I did was listen, because that's your world. You're brilliant. You're amazing. You're a master in the music business. You're even now doing comedy. You've done movies. I shut up and listen. If I want to know how to build wealth, I talk to Tony Ressler, and I shut up and listen. If I want to talk about spirituality, I go to Bishop T.D. Jakes, the Black Pope, and I shut up and listen. If I want to go talk about the civil rights movement and what Dr. King was thinking and all that stuff, I go to Andrew Young, and I shut up and listen. I said, when I'm talking to you about money, shut up and listen. So, and luckily he was smart enough to shut up and listen. So, I think that what we've got to do is love each other enough to tell us the truth. I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. And you have parents trying to be best friends with your kids. How low is our self-esteem? My mother, back in the day, the law changed, you couldn't beat your kids, right? So I'm at school, and I come home, my mother, she didn't like something I did, go get a switch. If you went in the backyard and you got something too small, she'd go back and get half the tree. So, Juanita Smith, so I'm at that, she says, go get a switch. No. Now, this is the generation of black women. They could be in another room, hear you, take off their pump, throw it around the corner, and knock you on the head. It come back, they put it back on, they say, so girl, what's we having lunch? So we're talking. My mother said, what'd you say to me? She cocked her head, because she couldn't quite process. Yeah. Did you just talk back to me? What did you say to me? I always love these white families, typically white families, wealthy, in the grocery store. Now, Johnny, stop cursing at me. And mom was like, what'd you say to me? I said, you can't beat me. The law says, the law changed. the law changed. Can't get it out. You can't touch me. You can't beat me no more. Mom's like, she said, first son, I wasn't beating you. I was whipping you. But, okay. Here's the phone. Back in those days, it was the rotary one, So here's the phone. I want you to call the folks with the red light. That's the police. You call them for me. And then when you finish, baby, I want you to pick up the phone again, and I want you to call the people with the blue light. That's the morgue. That's for you. I brought you in this world, I damn sure gonna take you out. And so then I had made a mistake where then she started hit me, and I'm telling my daddy, oh, yo, daddy ain't paid child support in how many years? My mother would leave to go to work at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. She had no problem about her kids. We lived in Compton, California. You went to the street behind you and you may not come back. I was more afraid of my mother than the drugs and the thieves and the gangsters on my neighborhood. My mother was a terror. I loved her. I didn't like her. It took me 20 years to like my mother. That's when you know you're a good parent. Stop trying to be your children's best friend. So we got some work to do, and we have to level set. We have to love each other enough to say the truth. The truth is our business plan's not working. In fact, we don't even have a business plan. We just tripping. And we flossing, we out here profiling, we out here trying to rent in a place that don't want you, with money you don't have, to impress people you don't know, to talk about stuff that don't matter. Well, what you should be doing is buying you a house hood adjacent. Buy it, rehab it, and rent it. Or rehab it and live in it, and then build some equity, then use the equity in 3 years, get a home equity line of credit, buy another house in hood adjacent, near transportation, jobs, economic activity, buy it, rehab it, and rent it. Do that 3 times, get you a term life insurance policy or a whole life insurance policy, get you a 1-page will so nobody can steal your money when you're dead. Everybody's gonna die. I don't know how you're gonna live, but you're gonna die. And make sure you direct that. It's called generational wealth. You'll be a millionaire within 5 years. I did that in 3 minutes. By the way, everybody here knows, everybody here's got a cousin that makes $38,000 a year with 3 children. You go home and you tell them, have you ever heard of EITC? They say, what's that? You say, congratulations, that Jerome and the Texas Black Household just gave you a check. If you make $38,000 a year and you have 3 children, this is financial literacy. The government owes you $7,500 cash. And if you never filed, it's retroactive for 3 years. Hello? So that's almost $20,000. And you can buy a house in the hood adjacent for whatever, find some city, $100,000. I don't mean like in Houston, but I mean, go someplace where the puck is going, buy it for $100,000, $10,000 down payment, get you one of these banks to give you a down payment assistance, because that's the only time you being black is an advantage. Get you a CRA loan mortgage from them, which is under interest rate, because again, being black is an advantage. Buy that house, rehab it, rent it, and live in it. Build equity and build wealth, and then buy another one and buy another one. And this is the only time where like being poor and underserved is an asset. And this is your time. Like everybody else is just like, they're ready to jump off of the first floor building because they never had problems before. You were born with problems. So what was your question?
Out of love, will you pass down what you mean by
you just hit that. You just knew I was going to take off. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm just worn out with these raggedy conversations. I'm so tired of these fake influencers on internet talking about how to make you wealthy, selling you books and tapes, and that's how they got wealthy. Like, just knock it off. Like, stop. Do you have somebody do cancer surgery on YouTube? I mean, go to somebody who's an expert. My payroll is $1.5 million every 2 weeks. I have to make $300,000 a day. I'm losing money being here. But you've got to understand, I'm the largest black male-founded community-based nonprofit by budget in American history. I'm not selling you wolf tickets. I'm not telling you some motivational speech. I'm telling you what I did from nothing. Invested $4.8 billion in our community. So I know we can do it. But we gotta put that drama aside and to get that toxicity out of your life. Say, you ain't gotta go, but you gotta get out of here. You can't take everybody with you. Yes, I said it.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Hope Bryant.
Thank you. Thank you. We have time?
Go ahead.
So I have a gift for you. I've got 2 gifts for you. Can I do it? If I do it quick, y'all won't kick me out? Number one, I want you to go to the business plan, to Dream Forward and download the business plan for America. I wrote a business plan for women, one for rural America, one for Black America, one for Latino America, one for Native American Indians. And here's what the Black one says. Why are you tripping on the government? Like, why are we upset about DE&I? We're 5th on the list. Who cares what they're doing in Washington? Don't you have enough stuff to focus on? Pay your mortgage, pay your car note, raise your kids, volunteer in your local community. The cities are where GDP comes from anyway. Volunteer in your school board. Like, wait for this drama to be over. It's not your drama. Go on about your life. By the way, if the government just gets excited and wants to give Black people reparations, I don't think it's going to happen. But that's $300 to $600 billion by estimates over 20 years. But if you just raise your credit score 100 points, you get your churches to do it, you get Black Expo members to do it, you just raise your credit score 100 points over the next 5 years. That's $750 billion for Black America by 2053. You take that credit score increase to 700, because half of us have a credit score below 620. Let that sink in for a minute. Half of all Black America has a credit score below 620, which means we wake up, forget police brutality and all the stuff that upsets you, racism, all legit. But that means half of us wake up in the morning locked out of the free enterprise system. You can't get a decent mortgage, car loan, anything at 620. Can't get a small business loan at 620. So credit score, 700 billion, 750 billion. Then you buy a home, move us from 44% home ownership to 62% by over actually this is over 20 years. That's $800 billion. That's $1.6 billion. I didn't mention anything about the government. You can do that by yourself. Buy $1 trillion of these businesses I just talked about. That's another trillion. AI, that's another trillion. That's $3.5 trillion in 20 years. That's all self-actualized. It's the James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I get it myself. You don't need anybody to help you change your life. You got to get organized. Follow him. Now, I'm going to give him some help. Met with some young people today. You're helping them out with some grants. I'm going to double the grant money. Number 2. Oh, no. That's little. So this is why you should always check your spam folder. After Rainbows After Storms, after George Floyd's murder, I talked to Toby Lukey, the wealthiest man in Canada, Shopify, talking to people. He was all torn up about George Floyd's murder. He said, John, this is really horrible. What can I do to help? I didn't say hook me up, hook my cousin up, hook my friend up. I said, I don't know, help me create 1 million new Black businesses in America. He said, well, send me something. So I went to my computer, typed out something. By the way, don't let the perfect be the death of the good. I typed up something, sent it to him before he got distracted, because he's wealthy and busy. A week goes by, Jerome, nothing. 2 weeks go by, nothing. The old John Bryant would have, hey man, I knew we want nothing, you just wasted my time. It's the old John Bryant. This one, hey man, thanks for caring. I appreciate that you didn't want to do it. You probably didn't want to tell me no. I appreciate you asking me, what could you do? I know you're busy. We'll get, I didn't hear from you. Cool, we'll do something down the road. Love you, man. He wrote back, what are you talking about? I said, yes. In my spam folder, $130 million commitment over 10 years. He then increased that in December, another $60 million. There's $190 million of business, of capital to create 1 million new Black businesses in America. Free domain name, free website, free business plan, free payment systems, free Shopify account, free credit score counseling, free budget counseling, free attorney for 2 hours, business manager, business consultant, marketing consultant. The package is worth $25,000 per business. I'm leaving $1 million here. See you.
Thank you so much.
I know you have learned a lot through this video, as I have also learned a lot. It's about time we take wise financial decisions, because the world we find ourselves, some race has taken 20 steps forward, as Black people has taken 20 steps backwards. So we have to climb a whole ladder to catch up with some race. And that is why we should not joke when it comes to financial decisions. Then that is why I've started bringing content that will also empower us to be wise, that will also enlighten us through financial decisions taking, that will also help us to progress. You know, we can't be always pointing fingers. Sometimes we also have to preach message that will help us and also empower us to take the right financial decisions that can help us to progress. So if today is your first time coming to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. I'm always your guy, De-Graft Amoako. Thanks for watching.